My mom's Chinese ancestors arrived in Hawaii 4 generations ago in the late 1800s. Hawaii had become a territory of the United States. In order to bring his wife and children with him, my grandfather 4 generations ago started a general store, so he would be classified as other than laborer. My dad's ancestors from China arrived in Hawaii 5 generations ago in the mid-1800s, a few decades after King Kamehameha had conquered all the islands. According to my grandmother, they were kung fu masters looking for adventure. My uncle, 5 generations ago, became the royal bodyguard to the Hawaiian queen. My grandfather, 5 generations ago, married a Hawaiian woman. With these two acts, the Hawaiian king and queen let them stay. The results of a DNA test my dad took several years ago showed he was 1/8 Hawaiian. Our family has been immersed in Hawaiian culture for over 150 years. In the 1960s, spearfishing for dinner was as commonly accepted as going to the grocery store. I memorized the coral caves in the ocean. If I speared a fish in a coral cave, 2 weeks later, there would be another fish to take its place. As I was swimming to the coral caves, some fish would see me and swim to the other side of the reef. Through experience, I learned to spear even the smartest fish in the coral caves. I used a Hawaiian sling, a 3-pronged spear with a loop of surgical rubber on the back end. I started with a fiberglass spear, progressed to an aluminum spear, and finally a graphite spear, which was the lightest and fastest spear of all. A fast spear was nearly impossible for a fish to dodge. The oveo-veo, a red reef fish with large eyes, would be motionless at the entrance of the cave. If it sensed danger, it would swim deep into the coral cave and never return. I speared those fish immediately because I knew I only had one chance at them. The highly prized $10 a pound kumu, a red goatfish, I would spear in the head instead of the lateral line behind the gill, so I wouldn't damage the soft meat. The minpachi, a red snapper, would zigzag left and right in the caves. If I aimed at them on the left, they would move to the right. I would keep my aim point on the left. When they zigzagged left again, I would spear them. The oholehole, a silver perch, would bunch up in schools. Occasionally, I would be able to shoot 2 at once if I waited for one fish to swim in front of another. In sniper school, it's called a quigley. With experience, I could spear some very smart fish. The fish I never speared were the fish that swam to the other side of the reef at the first indication of danger. They didn't have to be smart enough to dodge a spear. They only had to be smart enough to distance themselves from me. From this, I learned to distance myself from hostile and toxic people. Many times, they would give me fair warning of the future by being verbally hostile and toxic first. Over time, I developed multiple streams of income so that I wouldn't be economically dependent and could distance myself whenever necessary. Life was a lot smoother that way. Surround yourself with nurturing friends you can trust who will foster your growth. Distance yourself from hostile and toxic people.